How's it going, everyone? Jeff Johnson from the Gazette with Jeff Linder for another edition of the Call It Both Ways podcast. We're going to talk hoops, boys, girls, Iowa women, and whatever else you want to talk. Jeff wants to talk about. How about we start with the weather? As I look outside my front window, it's snowing again, and snow pretty much was the theme last week, Lindy. Have you figured out all the makeup dates? Because I know you've been
No,
very vigilant about that.
no, I think at the highest I was missing, I was up to around 70. I think now I'm back down to about 30. So it's getting a little more manageable, but boy, I hope we play tonight. So
And
I, I
tomorrow night.
think I think we will most places, but who knows? I guess I've kind of given up on it for now, and that's what varsity bound's for, right?
That's
To
right. That's
save our
right.
bacon if we fall too far behind.
Yep. And if everybody reports the
Yeah.
makeup dates,
Yeah.
um, we didn't have. I think talking to Todd Tharp from the Boys Association, he thought less than 50 games last week total. And I'm sure that sounds about right on the girls' side too, right? If
Yeah.
that. Um, Anything of note, and how do you think especially the girls, they have one less week to make
Hmm.
up everything than the boys do. Are we getting into literal crunch time with these schedules, Jeff? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of Monday, Thursday, Saturday makeup games between now and the rest of the season. Um, I was just kind of looking at some of the makeups, and Makokata is really kind of interesting because their girls will play back to back with Monticello. And I assume it's probably the same for the boys too. They'll play back to back with Monticello the 27th and 30th, and then they'll play back to back with Comanche um, the 2nd and 3rd of February, back to back nights, home and away.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know how. Well, there won't be any secrets. those,
right.
those second games, right? So
We should
uh,
just play a doubleheader the same night.
there you go. Yeah, maybe do it on a Saturday. You can play all four games. Just get them out of the way. Two
There you
girls, two
go.
boys. Rest in between. So not advantageous for anybody in that situation. Jeff, would you agree when you're playing back to back?
Yeah, but that's where we are. You got to play them when you can, and a lot of non-conference games probably just won't be made up. But they're going to do everything they can to get these conference and divisional games in between now and early to mid-February.
Do you have ranking? The girls have rankings last week, even though there
They did last week, and they just came out today. And that's one thing. That's what I led my girls' notes with for today. Is 3 years ago, Mount Vernon was 1-20, and then Nate Sanderson came aboard, and they went from 12-11 his first year, and then 16-8 last year. Now they are, I believe, 12-1 and ranked number one now in Class 3A after beating Stolen 44-37 on Tuesday.
I know you weren't able to get there yet, Iowa women's duties, but you've been able to glean anything about that Mount
Yeah,
Vernon one game?
yeah, they were down 12-2 after a quarter, and then just kind of steadily came back throughout the next quarter and a half, and then they put together a 14-0 run late in the third to go ahead for good, and then they pretty much matched baskets throughout the fourth quarter. I know Sydney Huber had a couple of big free throws. I think they had a run out layup at the horn, so it went from 3-7 there in the last few seconds.
What's Nate done to turn things around there?
Well, Nate's a big culture guy, a big chemistry, that kind of thing. And I think that's gone over well at Mount Vernon as it did in Springville, maybe not so well at Linn-Mar. He's just got talented kids. Chloe Meester's going to be a D1 volleyball player at Louisville. Sydney Huber will probably be a D1 basketball player somewhere. And they've got some good pieces around those two. Not a lot of kids out. I think they only have 12 or 13 kids in grades 9 through 12.
Oh, wow.
which is a common theme with in girls basketball these days.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
What
Low numbers. If it's not club volleyball, it's the growth of high school girls wrestling has cut into the girls basketball numbers too. So wouldn't say it's a dying sport, but it's certainly not in very good health right now.
what can be done to try and counteract that, do you think, if anything?
I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I don't know. Club volleyball is not going to do anything to be flexible. You know, high school volleyball probably will be. You know, coach to coach, they have to share kids, and hopefully schools are good about that. But I don't know. It's just not, I'll tell you what can happen is kids can keep watching Caitlin Clark play, and I think the interest and the excitement that she brings and the Iowa team brings in Iowa State as well. That might be the saving grace, you know, to young, you know, maybe we won't see it for a year or two, but maybe in 5 to 10 we will.
I saw the TV ratings. Did you see the TV ratings for the game Saturday? 1 million people
A
watched
million
that.
plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I believe was the third most watched women's
I think
basketball
so.
game. Is that
I'm
so?
surprised it was that low.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
I'll
they were
tell
going.
you, I went, it was a 7 o'clock game and the weather was terrible.
Yeah.
Halas and I drove down there together. And I think between the Cedar Rapids, the Prairie, the road was at 76th or whatever that is, and I-80, I think we counted 52 vehicles in the ditch
Wow.
On 380, whether it was cars or semis or whatever. And we got down there and people just kept coming in and it was darn near full. If capacity is 14, I think it's 15 now, basically, a couple people less than that. I'll bet there were 14,000, maybe 14.5 in the arena.
Wow. Was entitled media lady there? Our
She was
friend.
not. She was not. She gave her ticket. She must have solved eBay or StubHub or SeatGeek or whatever and passed her tickets along to some lucky fan.
How fast were you guys going down there? 35-ish?
40 to 50.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were careful, but we just kind of went at the pace that everybody else was at, and that was usually 40 to 50 and a little slower from time to time. But yeah, it wasn't a fun trip and it got cold,
Yeah.
but it was certainly worth it.
What'd you get at the Linder home base? I counted 25 inches at my house last week of snow.
Really? You know, with all the
Drifting.
drifting and stuff, I don't know. I suppose I think we probably got 14 or 15 in that first storm midweek last week, and maybe another 6 or 7 after that. I don't know. We just have snow drifts and snow piles all over the place. I don't know how much we've got.
Yeah. The drifting was brutal.
Yeah.
It really was. Really was. So.
Yeah. So, but we got through it, and the weather's warmed up a little. I think it's about 20 degrees out right now. Just barely snowing here, so it's better than it's been.
Tonight, what do you have? You're going to
I'm
actually
going to try to make the trip up to Manchester, Williamsburg at West Delaware. A couple of good teams, maybe overshadowed a little bit in the WAMAC. Both a game or two above 500. I think it'll be a good game. West Delaware's got Brooke Krogman, a shot blocker who I think leads the state in block shots, now about 6 a game.
Is that Derek's sister?
I don't know.
The kid that played at UNI?
Could be. I don't know the lineage. I'll ask. And
Yeah.
Williamsburg's got a good young crew of kids, and of course will be well coached with Stephanie Dace, who used to be Stephanie Rich.
Former Washington, Iowa star.
Former athlete of the year. I think I want to say 2001, maybe.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I actually got a couple of games in the last few days, which has been nice.
Yeah.
Didn't have to go very far
Tuesday
either.
wasn't bad.
No. Had to go up or went up to Kennedy late last week for Kennedy and Lindmar, and then the other night, Kennedy and Senior and game featuring first and third ranked teams in 4A. And Kennedy's good. Just took care of business both nights, and it's gonna take a heck of an effort from somebody to knock off the Cougars. There's no question about that.
What's
So,
kind of the blueprint? How can they be beaten?
um, I would say what Senior did. Senior's a very tall team, 6'6", 6'6", 6'4", I think up front. So, kind of uh packed the lane quite a bit, which made it very hard for Kennedy to penetrate and get good shots off, and kind of made him a jump shooting team throughout a lot of that game. And there were times in that game when, for extended periods, 4 or 5 minutes, where those shots didn't go in, so Kennedy wasn't scoring. So that might be kind of a blueprint. A team's going to have to figure out Kennedy's, pressure defense. They like to pick you up sometimes, even at full court in a man-to-man, and they like to trap out front a lot. Really a good defensive team. So I think if you have a good point guard and maybe some height to go with it, you can kind of counteract some of the things that Kennedy does. But we'll find out next week. West Des Moines Valley, defending champ West Des Moines Valley, and Kennedy are going to play over at Waukee in the second half of the MVC CIML showdown, shootout, whatever you want to call it. So those pairings have just been released. So that'll be really interesting to, and then Valley lost its last game, still playing without Curtis Stinson Jr., who's out hurt right now. So we'll see if he comes back for that game next week. But yeah, Kennedy's by far the best team around here, and um, we'll see if the Cougars can keep rolling. I think the regular season win streak's up to 29 now. I think it's 29. All 20 last year, and I think they're 9-0 right now. So,
Yeah. Um, so tell us a little bit more about those pairings, and then you've got River Valley pairings as well.
oh yeah, the girls had already had their cross division showdown.
Yep, that
Uh,
was 2 weeks ago, I believe.
okay, and they're going to play the boys' part at Macokota. 16 of the 17 teams in the league are going to play. It starts at 9.
15, I think. Yeah.
Okay. It's going to start at 9:30 with Anamosa North Cedar, then in Comanche Durant, Beckman Tipton, Bellevue against Mid Prairie, Northeast and West Liberty, Cascade and Wilton. Then probably the marquee games, Monticello and Iowa City Regina at about 6 o'clock. Those two teams are the best in their division. Monticello's undefeated, top 5 ranked in 2A, and then Macokota and West Branch in the finale, as it should be. The host team should play the last game. So yeah, great idea. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago for the girls. I just like that because there's so many teams in that league now they can't play. They're not playing each other.
Right.
Everybody on the other side or your other division. So get everybody together in one day and in one spot and play games. So we'll see. I might try and head up there sometime Saturday. Really like to see that Monticello Regina game, for instance. So, and then you mentioned the MVC CIML showdown. We mentioned Valley and Kennedy. It looks like we're gonna have Linmar's gonna play Des Moines, Linmar's gonna play Des Moines Roosevelt. Waukee's gonna play Sioux City East. Sioux City East is coming over here, so that'll give you, I think, everybody a little more of an indication. The Western Iowa teams, Jeff, they just you don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how it is on the girls' side, but the boys,
Same.
yeah, because they're playing a lot of smaller schools, you don't know the competition level, and that's just basic geography, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So it's good that Sioux City East, which has got a great program under Raz Vanderloo, they're coming over to this thing and playing a top 10 walkie game and or team. And I think I mentioned 3 game. Liberty's got Johnston, and then Dallas Center Grimes, which is another 4A school playing in a 3A league. They're playing in this thing against Waukee Northwest, I think. So it's been a great idea. It was great. I thought it was really good over here a couple weeks ago, down at the powerhouse, when we had 7 games, whatever it was. Not quite as many this time around, but I think the hope is that this will be an annual thing, and anything to try and get, like we said, teams from the extreme, the eastern or the western part to kind of play the central Iowa teams or
Mhm.
what have you. I think it's a great idea.
It's
So
got to help make rankings easier
yeah,
for you. You get those head-to-head matchups. What were the crowds like at the powerhouse?
not real good for most of the games. The last 2 were much, much better. Limar and Valley. Limar brought a lot of people, and then Kennedy and Waukee was the nightcap. Uh, Kennedy had a lot of people there as well, but the rest, honestly, not sparsely,
Yeah,
I would say, attended. So I don't know if they'll maybe try and move this thing, like, to Cole College or Kirkwood or
yeah.
someplace smaller.
Yeah, rivalry Saturday. We've moved that to Kirkwood, and that's a really good place for it. The crowds, crowds don't overwhelm the place, but you know, even an average sized crowd looks pretty good inside Kirkwood. So I
Yeah,
don't know if that would be big enough for the boys event, but it's a thought. Plus, it's a 94-foot floor.
yeah. The RV that was where the RVC the initial RVC boys cross divisional thing was at Kirkwood last year, and
Hmm.
that was a perfect spot for it. And we'll see. I mean, it's not like the powerhouse. I hope they got a pretty good deal. It's not like the powerhouse is being used very much,
Right.
uh, frankly. But yeah, I mean, these kind of events I think are great for high school basketball, both on the boys and girls side. My opinion,
Yep.
hundred
Yep.
percent. And I
I
know
agree.
you do hard work on with the rivalry Saturday, and I know everybody appreciates that. So 100%.
All
Um,
right.
well, one other thing on the boys' side, real quick. My notebook will be on Eric
Yeah.
Dettbarn at MFL Marmac. Picked up his 500th career win Tuesday night when the Bulldogs beat Postville. Um, MFL has a big game tonight against Lansing Key, which is undefeated and top 10 ranked in Class 1A. It was good to catch up with Coach. He got a job as a 4th grade teacher at MFL, teaching in Luena, right out of college at Upper Iowa University. 22 years old, and part of the gig was believe it or not, head varsity high school boys basketball and baseball coach. So he said he did the baseball thing for 16 years, and he's still doing the basketball thing. This is his 38th season. He's won a lot of games up there, obviously. Taken 6 teams to the state tournament, including last season. Kind of a surprise that the MFL was able to make its way to state. Not really a shock, but a little bit of a surprise because they play in kind of a 1A league and they're a 2A team. And he just a year in and year out. Coach Dettbarn has a great has really really good teams, and of course he coaches a kid named LaFrance back in the early '90s. So
Yeah.
uh, we talked a little bit about what that was like, and he was still in his 20s then. He wasn't a whole lot older than Rafe LaFrance was, but he said it was it was something. They every gym they'd go to, people would be lined. They'd walk in the gym and people would be lined up waiting to get in. He said every game was sold out. Um, then he talked about all the college coaches that he was able to meet uh, over during that whole recruiting process for LaFrance, and He said we were sitting at home watching TV one night, and phone rang, and that was back in the non-cell days.
Mm-hmm.
So his wife answered it, and he goes, she kind of looks at me with wide eyes, and she goes, "It's Lute Olson. It's Lute Olson. He wants to talk to you." So you can only imagine. And then we had Roy Williams was up there all the time back in those days, because that's where LaFrance ended up going to play. And
Yeah.
he said one night, he goes, "I'll always remember." Picked him up at the Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin airport, brought him back over to Monona. He goes, and he sat down at our little kitchen table in our little one-bedroom apartment in Monona, and we had supper, ham and baked potatoes. He said.
All right.
So he's a good guy. He's done a great job. Great job for kids. He's got the life. He's retired from teaching now and just concentrates on basketball. And he goes, "I'm still really tired." After they had a little celebration for him
Uh-huh.
Tuesday night after getting 500 wins. So yeah, read the
Yeah.
notebook. That's what it's all about. Most of it. And I got a cat on my lap, so I apologize about that. But let's turn the page and talk about Saturday's big game. You talked about how many people braved the weather to get down there. Must have been a special atmosphere, and it
Yeah.
sounded like Iowa gave a pretty special performance, huh?
Yeah, they really did. And boy, they've been doing that a lot lately. They're rolling. They're rolling right now. I was expecting a game that would go down to the wire, and boy, it sure didn't. Iowa beat Indiana. It was 84-57 on Saturday, and came back Tuesday and beat Wisconsin 96-50 for their 29th straight win against Wisconsin. A streak that goes back, I think, to 2007 or something like that. And they're playing really well. Clark's playing really well. Kate Martin's coming around and scoring a lot for them. And they did it the other night without Hannah Stolke, who I think has a minor knee issue right now. Gabby Marshall's kind of rediscovered her shooting stroke, and they're playing a little defense. I mean, they give up 57 and 50 the last two games, and that's pretty good.
The you don't want to peak quite yet, but
No,
I don't know if that any part of a concern, or are you just, when you're on a roll like this, you
boy,
just
I don't think you can be too concerned if you're playing really, really well right now. I still think they can do some things better. Just some fine tuning and stuff like that. They're going to have a really good test Sunday at 11 against Ohio State at Columbus. And if they can get through that one, they might have designs on a long winning streak here. Just trying to see who they play coming up after Ohio State. They got Nebraska at home, at Northwestern, then they go to Maryland. That won't be easy. Penn State at home should be. Then they go to Nebraska. That'll be a challenge. And after that, they only have 5 games left regular season. So,
how big of an effect do you think Indiana's travel woes were, if at all?
it couldn't have helped. It couldn't have helped at all. And they got into the Cedar Rapids airport, I think, about 10:15 on Saturday. I imagine their drive to Iowa City was a little bit perilous. They had to shoot around. They ate. They went back to the hotel. I don't know if they took a nap or whatever, but yeah, it had to be. It had to be a factor. Terry Morin downplayed it. She said all the credit goes to Iowa, and I don't know. There was a lot of Twitter chatter saying that Indiana was trying to duck Iowa and not have to come, and that was just silly. People said, "Oh, they should have come Thursday." Well, they couldn't because there wasn't a plane available. It's not as easy as it sounds. So Friday wasn't going to happen, but they did make it Saturday, and boy, they were a distant second in that track race.
Yeah, travel woes did not make a 26-point difference or whatever
Right.
the spread was.
No, but yeah, second half they just looked tired, and probably rightfully so.
Is there anybody that's in Iowa's category in the Big Ten right now, do you think?
You'd have to say it's Indiana or Ohio State, if
Okay.
anybody, and if not them, probably nobody. Maryland's a little bit down this year, not too far, but it's still going to be tough over there. Nebraska over there will be a challenge, but if they can go 2-2 or 3-1 in those four tough roadies, then they should be sitting pretty good.
Number one seed would have to be the goal at this point, right? For the NCAA
Yeah,
tournament.
right now they're absolutely a one seed.
Yeah.
They're ranked number 2 in the country. They're in the top 3 or 4 in net and RPI and all that stuff. And um, I think they're sitting really good as far as a number 1 seed.
They're pretty good for a team with a kid that shoots 40 times a game, huh?
Yeah, she shot 18 the other night against Wisconsin. So yeah, I saw that too. That was
I I don't understand. It's got to be ego, right? The hate or
yeah, jealousy.
know, from people like Mulkey and the
Yeah,
South and Staley that I mean, this is the best thing to ever happen to women's college basketball. I don't think there's any doubt about
yeah,
that. And if you can't see that and appreciate that, then I don't know.
yeah. I think the best thing about the whole thing is it's happening at a non-blue blood, and I hate that word, but a non-traditional power. It's not happening at UConn. It's not happening at Tennessee or Baylor or somewhere like that. It's happening at Iowa, and I think that kind of makes the story a little more fun, even at the national level, I would think.
Did you see Gino Oriema? What he had to say about NIL the other day?
Yeah.
What did you
The
think about it?
more the more I listen to Gino and the more he has to say, I think the more I like him.
Really?
I think so. I think on a lot of these things he's right. At least I agree. He's very frank, very honest. Says what he thinks, and I think more often than not he hits the nail on the head.
Basically, if you didn't see it, Google it and look it up. It was interesting. It was before or after their game against Seton Hall the other night. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I think it was after their game.
But he talked about what NIL's done to the sport or to sports in college and how um, basically kids have no sense of loyalty anymore.
Right.
And he's not wrong. It just seemed like, and I know there are a lot of people out there that think this is 100% copacetic and all this, but it's, to me, Jeff, has gone from the coaches having all the power to
Yeah.
the kid. The kids now have all the power. Shouldn't there be a
Yeah.
happy medium in there somewhere?
I don't think there is right now.
Maybe be naive, but
I don't think the present format is sustainable. They're going to have to pull the reins in somewhat. I just, offering legally offering a kid 2 or 3 million to transfer to your school. I don't like it.
right. Yeah, and the NCAA is feckless in this whole deal, and somebody needs to step up
Yeah.
and figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I agree, and we'll see. We'll see what it does moving forward. And I'm not against players getting a share and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and but I also don't think that, in my opinion, that it wasn't like they weren't getting anything.
Right.
you
Right.
know, education ain't cheap.
No,
Room and
sure
board,
isn't.
food, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But anyway, so that's another topic for another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Just makes it sound like grumpy old men that
I know, which we
aren't
are.
keeping up with the times.
Yeah, exactly. Get off my lawn, folks. Get off my lawn. So,
Yeah.
anything
So what do
else
you
you
have
want
this
to
week?
do? I'm gonna do. I'm trying to think now. This is Thursday. Friday, we're gonna do Wash and Jefferson. That old rivalry. Haven't seen either of those teams for a while, and Always good to catch up with them. Teams that maybe aren't top 10 ranked in their respective class, but it's always an important game for both schools. And we'll be over there. Speaking of the Wash football job, it's been posted. I've heard some names trickle out, not names, but people from other programs that might be interested. So that announcement on that, I would think would be fairly soon, right?
I would think so.
You want to get a football coach in there as quickly as you can, and that's pretty much it. So
okay.
Should we sign off? Anything you want to add?
You mentioned MFL and Key playing tonight. That's a pretty important girls game too. MFL's got 1 loss. Key's got 2. North Fayette Valley has 2. Elkader has 3. So that's a big game for the girls as well.
That's up at Lansing, I believe. So
okay,
a town I've never been to. It's on my list. Have you ever been? You been up?
I was through it on my way back from La Crosse a couple summers ago.
Okay.
Nice town. Like all those towns along the river are just really kind of neat.
Yeah, I agree. Elkader, there's another one along the river there that I think's a nice little town. And
Marquette McGregor's great. Guttenberg, Bellevue, love them.
Absolutely.
Have you been to Sebula? Have you been to the island town?
I have not. I've driven by it, but I have not to actually have not been to the island. So
put it on your bucket list.
Do they have like a gas station in the middle of the island or anything like that?
Probably. It's a big island as far as islands go.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably 500, 600 people live in Sebula.
All right. Wow. Yeah. Is that the old they weren't East Central High School?
Yes, they were.
They were. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I miss East Central.
I do too.
part of Preston High School.
Part of Easton Valley now.
Easton Valley. There we go.
Yep. Sebula is right across the river from Savannah, Illinois.
Okay, I have been to Savannah.
Okay.
Spent time in Savannah. I haven't spent any time in Sebula, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have a great restaurant in Sebula. All the small towns seem to, right? Almost all the small towns. Gino's Pizza in Preston. I've heard so many good things about Gino's Pizza in Preston. So
okay.
Next time anybody's in Preston, stop by Gino's Pizza. Tell them I sent you. They'll charge you double. So. All right. Well, anything else you want to hit?
No, let's put a wrap on this and watch the snow and hope it's not too bad tonight.
Yeah, get bundled up. It's supposed to be cold, I think, again this weekend. Then maybe warm up and we'll melt some of this white crap that's all over our.
Yeah, that'd be all right. Not too fast though, because we don't want it to be slushy.
That's true. That's true. All right, folks. We'll have more, hopefully, a lot more games to talk about next week than we did this week. But hope you enjoyed another edition of the Call It Both Ways podcast. I had a record, by the way, Jeff, the other night, Tuesday night, 1:14 into the game. Senior and Kennedy, I heard call it both ways. So
that's pretty quick. I thought you were going to say you had a record like 4 popcorns or something.
No. Actually, I had a parent from Senior who follows me on Twitter that bought an extra one for me the other night. So nice. Thank you, Mr. Mettinger. Appreciate it. Go Rams. So anyway, thanks for joining us on the Call It Both Ways podcast, folks. For Jeff, this is Jeff, and we will speak at you or with you next week. Thanks very much. Stay safe this weekend, folks.